Hello everyone, welcome to TekTip episode 9, where we talk about the security onion. So while we normally talk about attack tools, I want to take this episode to focus on the other side of the fence, which is the defense side. Um, while I love attack and it's fun, my passion really is defense. The reason I do attack stuff is so I can learn more about how that works so I can better protect myself and the organizations that I represent. So today we're going to take a look at the Security Onion. It's a distro created by Doug Burks of Mandiant fame, and basically this is the Backtrack for network and monitoring world. Um, he calls it, what he wants it to be. Doug Burks is he talks about it being, um, the blue team side of the house, their distro, while the red team is using Backtrack. So what is it? Security Onion, again, a Linux distro, and it contains pretty much everything that you would want to do analysis um, uh, on a network or even in a lab. So it has Snort pre-installed, but you can choose Suricata instead. It has some NetFlow tools. It has some basic, well, basically everything. So your NetFlow, your IDS, and even just full packet captures of everything. In addition to that, is also pulling in data from OSSEC, so you can pull in host data as well. But here's a good listing of all the different tools that are there that are already pre-installed on this distro. Um, as somebody who does a whole lot of IDS stuff and has attempted to roll my own IDS or create my own not my own distro but my own method and installing everything from scratch, I can tell you it is not an easy task. It takes some time, but what he's done is he's rolled all these tools into a distro where it pretty much works out of the box. About 10 minutes in, you can really just be up and running the way you want to be. So, why would you use this? Most of the time, I'm using it on the malware analysis side. So, I'm doing some signature analysis and maybe throwing up fake net or something like that. It's just not enough, and I want to get full pack captures. I want to get OSSEC on a box. I want to see everything that I can see. So I'll just throw the security onion in between and pull that data that way. Signature development is another good thing, right? So now we know what malware is doing what. We create a signature to detect or block it, and we can test it in this environment. If you're setting up a honeynet or a lab, also a good idea. And this is really a good solution for the home or small office as well. So if you just want to keep track of what's going on at your house, this is perfect for that type of scenario. While I've heard cases of people using this in production enterprise environments, it doesn't seem ready for that quite yet to me. It's just too much data going on in an enterprise for this to really do what it needs to do. Because you got to remember, it's in order to give you so much information, which I'm going to show you how it grabs that information. But in order for this tool to give us that information, it takes a whole lot of disk space and a whole lot of bandwidth, really. So be cognizant of that. I don't recommend it for anything where you're trying to monitor anything probably over 5 or 6 gig at a 5 or 6 gigs a second at a time. Okay, so I'm not going to do the install. I've already gone ahead and did it, but I'm just going to show you how I have it set up. So obviously I'm running this in VirtualBox. So like always, when you're trying to install a distro, set it up, and then you choose the ISO that you want. So in this case, the Security Onion ISO. Fire it up, and it'll boot live, and then you can do the install. So to show you the install, let's get out of all this stuff. Guess I should have closed that before. All right. So when you're done with the install, you'll be presented with this. Right. So you'll have Snorby on there, Sguil and Squert. Snorby for monitoring IDS alerts, Snort alerts. Sguil will pull in and do some correlation between all of the different tools. So Snorby, Bro, OSSEC, everything. And Squert is just a web interface for Sguil. Now there's of course other tools on here, but these are the ones we're going to focus on as they're the core of this distro. So when you get to this screen here after booting live, you're just going to run setup and sudo So this program will allow you to configure the security onion. Would you like to continue? Yes, and then it's going to say basic or advanced, or I think it's advanced or quick. I'm going to go ahead and cancel because I've already done it. But quick mode is just the next type of thing, and you're done. Where advanced allows you to say you want to install it and monitor one interface but not another, you can do it there. If you're setting up a multiple sensor environment and you just wanted to install the sensor portion and not the server portion and have the sensor point back to the main hub, well then you can go ahead and do that there. But for our demonstrations, the quick mode does just fine. So out of the box when you install it, you're not going to have anything in, so let's go back here. When you go to your Snorby interface, and it'll take a second to load up the first time, so don't be too concerned if it doesn't work right away. Might take a couple seconds to load up, but you'll be presented with this screen. Now, as you can see, Snorby looks very nice, especially for an open source tool. And this is username and passwords that you create during the setup process. So when you first log in, you'll see I have some alerts already. Now this is because I've already had it running and I have it pulling in data already. But when you log in, you're going to just see 0, 0, 0 across the board. And what you need to do to really start seeing the power of this tool is start getting traffic in there. So I skipped ahead a little bit here, but you do need at least 1 gig of RAM per interface that you're monitoring. Yeah, quick. And everything's based off of Ubuntu 10.04 right now, but the roadmap shows them having 64-bit on 12.04 out soon. So hopefully within the next couple of months, it looks like. So by default, it'll monitor all interfaces if you do the quick mode installation. Excuse me. So in order to get some data in here, you can, of course, start monitoring your own network. So route your traffic through here, or just throw a span at ETH0 over here. A span or one arm, however, or whichever term you use. But an easy way to get some data in here is to just replay some known bad traffic that you've found someplace else. So luckily, the Security Onion on their wiki also has a good listing of PCAPs or resources for PCAPs where you can go and grab stuff and replay it and get some data into your system. So for instance, this Evil Fingers one is the one I just put in here a couple of minutes ago. So if I go, I think here, you'll see this is the command I'm running. So sudo TCP replay, TekI to choose your interface, TekT to make it replay it very fast, and then I'm running all the anon wildcard.pcap. So if you looked in my pcap directory here, you'll see I have a whole lot of anon ones. Those are all from Evil Fingers. So I just replayed all of those in here, and that gave me some data to play around with. I also replayed a few other packet captures and made my own signatures as well. So before we get into the analysis side of portion, I just wanted to quickly show you some of the functionality here. So as you can see, he's got everything categorized appropriately. So if you want to make any changes to your Snort configuration, you can do that here. Your rules, so if you wanted to use emerging threats or the pro version of emerging threats, you can set it up to do that. Of course, you can add your own local rules, which I did just to get some traffic rolling. So I'll show you that portion. So you see here, I just created a few basic signatures, trying to get some stuff to flag appropriately. And you'll see that once we go through the analysis portion. If anybody would like me to cover at a later date, Snort signature creation, the basics there, and PCRE and the like, let me know. I'd be happy to go over that at some point if there's interest. But say I did make a signature change there and I wanted to put it in play, I'd have to restart the engine, the signature engine. The easiest way to do that is NSM and then restart for my sensors. And that's just going to reload the config, stop it, start it, and you'll be good to go from there. But as you can see, he's got everything ready for you to go. So you don't have to do a lot. It takes a lot of the guessing out of managing the IDS infrastructure, not just IDS, but everything else that comes into play here. But it takes a lot of the guessing out of that, makes it real easy, and of course gives you all the tools that you would need to generate traffic on here and do some analysis. So some of these should look very familiar to you guys. Alright, so now we understand a little bit about how the system's running and what it's running. Let's show you Snorby real quick. So Snorby is just IDS events. This isn't going to pull in anything else. This is just going to pull in your Snort stuff. So this is your dashboard, and again, it looks very nice. They've done a very good job making this Web 2.0-ish. But let's get into where we can actually see some data. So we're at the dashboard now. We can click high severity alerts to just see high severity or medium or low. But let's get out of that and then go over here to the events. So these are all the signatures that are flagged. It gives you a good indicator of what you want to look at. Let's go to events. Alright, so now you can see it's listing the events as they happen. So while this is good, this is not typically how we want to view everything. And that's why I prefer to actually use Sguil. But before going into that, let's just show you an example of the type of data you can pull out from this. So now if I click on one of these signatures, we can see who the source was, who the destination was, and if I click on these, I can change a query in here to start looking for just those sources or just those destinations. I can start filtering the traffic I'm looking at. But one of the beautiful things here is, yes, I'm going to get some of that PCAP where this happened. I'm going to see the references, so I can go look at what the signature is supposed to be looking at. And then I can hit this View Rule button here, which is awesome, which I wish every commercial tool had. So I can see what was the signature actually looking for. Because as anybody who does IDSing for a living, you'll know that there is just a ton of false positives out there. And it's really hard to figure out if something's a false positive when you don't have the data to do it. One of the key pieces of data that you need is what the signature is actually looking for. So now we know, all right, the flow has to be established. It's looking for a mail from, what's this particular hex string. No case, great. Type threshold, track by source, count 10, so this is a threshold related one over the course of 120 seconds. Great, so now I understand what it's looking for. Maybe the threshold is too low if this is a false positive, and we need to change that. You'll see here ET policy, that means this was pulled from emergent threats, which is where all of it is. And pull pork is running, so it'll update at the interval we choose, which by default is daily. But as you can see, already getting some great data from this. But I don't really like the way Snorby does everything. It's a good tool, but I want to see this correlated with some of the other tools that I have. So let's go to Sguil. And like I said before, this is the console version. There is a web version as well. Let's show you that real quick. Squert right there is the web version, but from what I can tell, the console works a lot better than the web version. Or not a lot better, but it works a lot easier. So now you'll see here TS E0, so this is all Snort stuff. And let's go down, OSSEC, so that's pulling in host level information. And that's all we have in here right now because I haven't replayed traffic from other stuff yet. But what this does that you don't get right out of the box on the other side of the house is you see this count here, right? Which is awesome because while all this stuff that we're looking at is pretty bad because I'm replaying known bad packet captures, in most IDSs, when I see a count of 81 or a count much higher than everything else, that to me usually means that it's a false positive of some sort. So while while you may be drawn to look at something that has 16,000 alerts, in my experience, the novelty is a factor here. So I would much rather spend my time looking at something that has 5, 4, or 3, because that's something that's not happening all the time, therefore probably an anomaly. So it gives me something a little bit to go off of. Not to say that something with 16,000 alerts isn't bad. It's just most likely not in most scenarios. It's most likely a false positive. But even if it's not, you have to dig through all the false positives in that 16,000 alerts to get to the one that happens to be bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and sort this by date time and show you what you can see here. So on the other side, we got to see a little bit of the PCAP. We got to see the event and the signature, and we can kind of do that here. So let's go ahead and look at one of these. Let's see, which one do we want? Let's go with the botnet ones. So here we got it flagged for a signature, IRC ping command, and nick and join, and nick and join. So let's see what it's doing. So by clicking these checkboxes here, I can see the packet data, and then I can click here to show the rule. But this doesn't give me enough, right? I see that it joined anti-tech, but I don't know what happened before this or what happened after this. I just know at this snapshot in time, when this signature was hit, we saw that the signature matched the join portion, and it went to this. But I want to see more. So the beauty of this tool is it's gathering packet data all the time. It's gathering net flow and packet data. So if I want to see more, it's very easy to do so. So let's show you what we see. If I go ahead and right-click on the alert ID, and you have to hold right-click for some reason, but if you right-click on the alert ID and choose Transcript, what this is going to do is kind of the equivalent of show TCP stream in Wireshark. So now I get to see not just that snapshot in time of what happened, but all around it, what was going on between these addresses. So if we look through here now, you'll see that, all right, joining this user with a nick is trying to join this particular channel. And then you get to see a little bit about how the how it's configured. You'd see about how many people are there. 102 users. Those are probably 102 infected computers that have this botnet installed. And then you'd see it doing its thing. It's going to send commands back and forth, and finally we're going to know, oh hey, look, rooted, FTP finished, see Windows W update. That's probably not the real Windows update. So you see all the way down here, and say this was something I also had my OSSEC agent on, I would also see client level information in here as well. Now if you don't like viewing it in that format, you can also word ID. You can also choose Wireshark and then view it in Wireshark if you're more familiar with Wireshark than just that Transcript module there. Right? So Wireshark pops up. Now if you don't know what you're doing in here, you're going to look at this and you're like, I don't get it. What's going on? Right? But all the data is there. You just have to know how to get it out of here. But what that transcript function was doing for you was pretty much this. Right click, follow TCP stream. And as you can see, it's giving you the same information. Right? All the way down to that W update. So that's one of the great things about this tool. I get all of this data. You'll see that it's actually running a little slow for me right now. I don't think I gave it enough RAM. I gave it, I think I gave it just 1 gig itself. I might want to give it more if you're doing this in your environment. And I'd probably, I think I'm going to throw this on a physical box versus having it on a VM. But it's still running very well considering. So let's cancel out of Wireshark. Yeah. And bring Sguil back up. So there's ones. You also see, this is actually a replay I did from honeynet.org thing, and this is actually one that Doug Burke goes over on his blog. He uses this as a good example to show people, so I figure why not show you guys here as well. So again, we're seeing some signatures flag. We see in this case that it's a buffer overflow attempt, as you can see from that right there. We know what signature is flagging there, but we want to see more data again, right? So let's go ahead and right click on any one of these involved in this stream and hit transcript. And it'll take a second to run. Alright, so now we get to see everything that's going on. So we see logging in to this FTP using a particular password, attempting to run that buffer overflow, right? And there's the buffer overflow going, and we're going to scroll down to get through all the buffer overflow stuff. Alright, so now we get to see not only the buffer overflow flow stuff, but what else he's doing. So, okay. Now we see what's going on there, right? We also see him doing the dir, just see where he is, changing directory, listing out everything that's there. And we see every command he's running and what he's getting back from those commands. So source, the command, destination, the return. And let's go down all the way past this stuff. Dir again. Listing out everything that's there. Great. CD internet. ls. Looking for what directory he's in. Changing the password for the user nobody. Now he's making some new directories here. That's the password. Right? It's very change password for DNS. Yeah, so this box is owned. And he's doing whatever he wants. Doing anything he wants on this box now. Right? So really good example of what you can get out of this, because you're not just getting that one snapshot of time where this happened, but you're getting all the data from the entire stream. It is so important to have that in order to do some adequate analysis. Now this distro has a whole bunch of other tools on it that I'd love to show you, but we're already getting a little late into here, about 27 minutes-ish, and that's a little more than I wanted to do. So we're going to go ahead and cut it off here, but let me know what else you want to know about, and we'll cover it next time, hopefully. Whether it be in the realm of attack, defense, you want to see more security onion, let me know. Hit me up at enormous@tekdefense.com. Of course, if you like this, you can check out more stuff like it at tekdefense.com. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to hit me up. But thanks for joining me.